Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to download this Ferry model and put it into our game using a resource pack. This video is sort of like a follow along or tutorial, so feel free to do this for your own models as well. So I'm on Sketchfab. You can find a lot of models on this website, and a lot of them are available to download for free as well. So I found this Ferry model, which can be useful for some of my Ferry routes on the Let's Play. So let's go ahead and check the license and download the model. CC attribution means that you can use it for different purposes, but you just have to attribute it. You can use it even commercially as well. So let's go ahead and download the model. If there are OBJ and MTL formats, I would prefer downloading that. But since this doesn't have that, I'm going to download the GLB instead. GLB is a format that packages all the textures and the model together as one file. So I'm just gonna select this texture size 1K. So I've downloaded it already into my computer right here, called Ferry GLB. So if you already downloaded or if you already have the OBJ and MTL files, that's great. But if you just have the GLB files, then you need to convert it to OBJ. So I'm going to use this GLB to OBJ converter online, convert3d.org/GLB to OBJ. And you can just drag the file right here and it's going to convert it for you. You can even see a preview here, which shows that the textures and the model is all bundled together. This is perfect, so I'm going to click download. So that downloaded a zip file right here, so I can take a look at what's inside the zip file, and I can see all the PNG files along with my MTL and OBJ. So now let me just extract these files out to my folder and try opening the OBJ file and making sure that the textures are mapped correctly. So this looks correct. This looks exactly the same as what's on Sketchfab, so we're good to go here. I'm going to delete the GLB and the zip files because we will no longer need them. Okay, so back in Minecraft, what we can do now is open up the dashboard and go to the resource pack creator. This will open up a new link in your browser just like this. Today we're going to create a new resource pack rather than edit an existing resource pack, but of course, if you're editing someone else's resource pack, then you can use this button. But today we're going to do create new resource pack. So before we actually add a vehicle, we need to manage the models and the textures so that the resource pack creator knows about them. So click on manage models. You can see all the ones built into the mod right here. And we're going to upload our custom models. So let's go to add model and go to our folder. And we need to select both the MTL and the OBJ and then upload them. There we are. And then go to manage textures, add texture. And then we're just going to highlight all of these into here. Okay, let's exit out of there. And then add our vehicle. So we clicked on the add vehicle button, and then now we can edit the vehicle properties. This includes the ID, name, and other fields. So for the ID, I'm going to do Ferry. Make sure this ID is unique across all your resource packs and all the trains inside your resource packs as well. This is very important. So for the name, anything will work. And then the color, I think I'm going to choose kind of a dark green color to match the actual boat. And then transport mode, don't forget to change it to something else if it's not a train. And then for the description, it's quite important that we follow the license terms when using the model. So I have typed up something like this, which will attribute the model and the author, and then mention that the texture and model files were changed because you're supposed to note any modifications you made to the files, and also a link to the original license as well. So since this is going to be added to the Let's Play eventually, I'm going to follow the license, but if you're using it privately, then you don't have to worry about the license. Only if you're sharing it with others that it matters. So star ferry, let's see if there's a Wikipedia article that's called this. There is, okay. So that works. Dimensions, I don't really know the dimensions yet. We can always adjust it later. And then the bogies, I'm just going to do one bogey because the boat can pivot in the middle. So a bogey position, I'll put that as 0. For the sound, I don't have any sounds right now, so I'm just going to leave that blank and click on save. Okay, so since we have no bogies, we can ignore this part with the bogey models and just work on the main vehicle model. So when you make your OBJ model, you can have different groups in there. That's kind of similar to the folders in Blockbench. So let's specify which model we're going to be using first. So the Star Ferry, and the texture resource doesn't really matter right here because it's not going to get used anyway. So I'm just going to select I don't know, main, and save. And then I'm gonna go to edit model parts. This is where you add the different groups of your model into here. So we've got a few different things right here. I'm gonna select default material first. Condition normal, which means when this part will show up. For example, if I only want this part to show up when the vehicle's at the depot, then I would select at depot. But I want this part to render at all times, so I'm going to click on normal. For the positions, I only need it to render once in the very middle, so I'm going to do 0, 0, 0. And the render stage, this just determines how bright it's going to be rendered, exterior, light, interior, and so on. So this is going to be an exterior part, so I'm going to leave it at that. At this point, we should be able to go back to Minecraft and check it out in game. So what we're going to do is build a really long siding because I don't really know how long the boat is going to be yet. So we'll just build a siding and go inside the dashboard and create a depot, which I already did. And then click on the siding. You should now see our custom model right here and our attribution and all that stuff here as well. Click on done, and now we see the model in game. You're going to notice that the textures are not set up properly. This is a bug in the resource pack creator, and there's nothing to worry about because we can fix that in the final resource pack. Okay, so I'm going to put this Minecraft window next to my editor so that we can kind of see both of them at once and make changes in real time. It would be more useful if you have two screens, but since I'm recording a video, this is what we're going to have to do. Okay, so let's go back to edit model parts. You might have noticed that the boat is a little bit too low, so we need to fix that. So putting it down to 100 will really lower the boat. So let's do -100, and that raised the boat quite a bit. So negative is moving up and positive is moving down. And each block is supposed to be 16 units. So let's try lowering this down to like 64. See how that looks. Okay, that's getting closer. And let's try adding some other parts as well. So maybe see if the exterior can show up like that. So condition normal, type normal, and then we'll do 64 as well. I honestly couldn't tell which part that added, but we're gonna add the rest of them and see what happens. All right, these are all the parts added. They're all added to -64, and I think that looks pretty good. I think this is about the level that the boat should be floating at, not too low and not too high. So we'll keep it at 64 right now. If it doesn't look right in game, then we can always change it. So something I want to test is setting the time to night. Since we selected exterior for all the parts, everything is going to render dark. So let me try changing these one at a time to condition, no wait. Render stage to light, to see how that affects the model. So default material 4 seems like it's the floor in the middles that will be affected. So I like that. I like how that looks. So I'm going to change that to render stage light. So when the vehicle is moving and the lights are on, then it's going to render brightly like this. So I like the look of that. Oh wait, actually I meant to do interior, which is similar to light except that it's not super bright. So what we have to do now is to test if the textures work after the pack has been exported. So we can go over to the export tab, and I'm going to type test for now. When we export it later, we'll probably give it a proper name and description. So I'm going to click on the export button, which opened up this folder on my computer. So it should have exported to a resource pack zip file like this. So let's take a look at what's inside. Assets, MTR. There's a custom resources. There are these model files and texture files. That's great. But there's one little gotcha that you need to be aware of. Because of some bugs, we need to put the model and the textures into a folder. So we need to create a folder right here and then put these textures and model files into this folder. We don't have to worry about the definitions and properties files, but these at least need to go into the folder. So since these are the same files anyway, I'm just going to drag them in like this. Also, make sure that your image files are PNG, otherwise Minecraft won't be able to read them. And then now I can go ahead and delete these ones that are not in the folder. Oh, one thing that I almost forgot about is that these resource textures need to be all lowercase, including the MTL and OBJ files. I just finished renaming them. You notice that I also deleted the normal maps, roughness, and all that stuff because we technically don't need them. Minecraft doesn't know how to read these files, at least not without shaders, so we're going to leave them out. Finally, we have to go into our custom resources and change the model to point to the folder. So starferry/starferryobj. This is the model resource right here. Go ahead and save that, close out, and then update it in the zip file. And then now let's go into here and load the resource pack. All right, that looks really good. And the floor is lit up, but the walls and everything is not. But I'll take that. That's pretty good already. I'm happy with that. Okay, so something that we might need to fix is that the windows are all black here on the upper deck, so we can't see inside. And there's no floors currently defined for this. Okay, if we hold the brush, we can see that this placeholder floor is defined right here, but it's not the right size of the boat, so that's also something we need to fix. First, I'm going to edit this using my image editor to try to fix the windows and make them not black. So I think I just have to edit this file and delete out the black parts of the image. So I'm gonna use Affinity. I've been using Affinity now rather than Fireworks because I think it's more modern and I'm just trying it out and I think I'm liking it so far. All right, there we go. And now for the other issue with the boat size, I looked into my old resource pack for the Let's Play when it was still on 3 point something, and I found out that the length and width is 32 and 8. So we can copy those numbers into here. So instead of using the resource pack creator this time, I'm going to edit the custom resources myself. Length, I'm going to change that to 32 and width to 8. Save and close and update and then load the resource pack again. Let's use our brush, take a look at this, looks better. So this is the default floor that gets generated, but instead I want to use a custom floor, but we have to define that using a Blockbench model. So let's do that next. Oh, and I also changed the windows, so now they're see-through. It looks kind of funny because the roof is transparent as well, but I mean, I think it looks better in general, so I'm gonna keep it like that. Okay, so back to the resource pack creator. This time I'm going to click on edit existing resource pack because I want to edit the existing pack instead of creating a brand new one. So, okay, if everything goes well, you should see the pack right here. And when you click on manage models, it should be uploaded as well, like this. Manage models, manage textures, they should be automatically added. And your vehicle here as well. Now we need to open up Blockbench. And this is going to be a little bit challenging because we have to create a floor that's the right shape along with the model as well. Okay, so I've got the latest version of Blockbench here. So let's create a modded entity. That's the one we use for the models in the mod. So create new model. File name, I'm just gonna call it star ferry floor. Copy the scene for that. And then this doesn't really matter what you choose. I just like to use Fabric 1.17 plus, but it doesn't matter too much because we're just going to be using in the resource pack anyway. Okay, so first I'm gonna go ahead and save project. Save project in my folder right here, Star Ferry Floor BB model. Okay, great. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up a new tab and I'm gonna click on generic model this time. So create new model, and then I'm gonna click on cancel because it doesn't matter. This is just a temporary project. File, import OBJ model. So OBJ file is my Star Ferry, MTL, scale 16 confirm. It might take a little bit of time depending on how big your model is, but there it is. So now what we need to do is add in our floors. So I'm gonna hide some of these parts to make it a little bit easier for us to work with the model. I'm gonna add the group to call this lower deck floor. And then I'm gonna add a cube like normal. Wow, this is really laggy. Don't know if you can tell from the video, but my computer is really laggy right now. Okay, so just make your floors like normal. Okay, so I resolved the lag just by deleting the elements, which is fine. I've created one part of my floor, and I'm just gonna show you a little bit how I do it. Because the floor is kind of sloped, as you can see from the side, so I'm gonna make this floor just touch the point where it slopes right here. And I know this isn't exactly touching the bottom, but if I make this lower by 1 block, then it already goes underneath. So I'm gonna make this at -60. And as for this part, I'm gonna extend it out a little bit more. Okay, let's make sure the dimensions are good. 41 on X, 64 on Z, which means the center point -32. That's correct. Okay, let's duplicate this part and move this over. Yeah, 64 is the number we should move it to. I don't know how detailed I want to make this floor, but I think I want to make it as good as possible. Oh, and also this part's cutting into the wall a little bit, so I'm going to repeat this process. I finished the middle portion of the floor. This is what it looks like. It kind of looks like stairs. If I turn off all the OBJ parts, then you can kind of see what the floor looks like from the side or the top view. It's just a bunch of steps made along the curve of the model. Now time to make the rest of it. I guess by the rest of it, I mean this side right here. Okay, that took me quite a while, but let's see how the floor looks. It looks like this. I think that looks pretty good. I just hope it won't lag very much in game. Alright, let me save this. I'm gonna name this lower deck floor 1 and then duplicate this and flip this, transform, flip X to the other side. And then the flipping to that side, I'm just going to use the resource pack creator to flip it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is copy these two parts over to our actual Blockbench model and paste it in. Okay, hopefully that copied over properly. Okay, I'm going to save this. And then now we're going to go back to our resource pack creator. I need to start up Minecraft again because I closed it earlier. I opened up Minecraft and we're back in the resource pack creator. I'm going to go into manage models and add our Blockbench model. So not the generic one, but the Star Ferry floor. Remember, this one needs to be in the modded entity format, not the generic model format. Okay, so I'm going to add a model. Edit model properties, this will be the floor. And the texture, okay, edit model parts. And then we're going to add both of our floors. Condition, we want it to be normal as well. Type, this time we're going to change it to floor. So position 0, -64, 0. And then because we need to flip the floor the other way as well, we will do a flip position as well. Okay, now we add the lower deck floor 2 as well. Of course, you can group these all into one part, but I'm just making it into 2 parts just so it's easier to manage in Blockbench. And make sure to set the type to floor and close. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, I can already see the floor right here. The now is way too low compared to the actual model. So I think because we did the offset, we probably weren't supposed to do that. So let's edit the parts again. This time we'll just keep it at 0 and see what happens. 0 is still too low for this for some reason. Let's put it side by side. And also let's set the time to day because it's kind of hard to see. So let's try 64 the other way. Oh, that is good. Yeah. Just inspecting the model, I think the shape fits really well, and I'm really happy about that. And let's see. Yeah, overall, I think everything fits really well. And let's try to get a key, ride the boat, and try walking around. That's really smooth. I really like that. That fits really well. You can't go up the stairs, of course, because in the real boat, you can't use the stairs either. And this is also kind of a proof of concept as well. This is a tutorial. I'm not going to make this super perfect, but you can go all the way up here and take a look out the window like this. Wow, this is really going to be a fun model. Okay, so that's the floor done. Next, we need to make the upper floor. And I think the person that made this model flipped this hole. So it looks kind of funny. Okay, so we need to make the doorway and we need to make the upper deck. Okay, back to Blockbench. So we're gonna keep using our generic model because we can turn on the OBJ layer right here to see what we're doing. Okay, and then I'm gonna add a group called doorway and then just copy this cube. I don't want to have to redefine the size and everything again. We need to make this a little bit smaller for the shape of the door. So probably a little bit smaller, I think, like that. So 2814, that's good. So now we want to extend it outwards like that. So this is going to start right here and extend out this way. I'm going to make the doorway a little bit bigger so that when we're on the platform, we can easily just step onto the gangway. To line up to the platform blocks, we need to make sure that it sticks out to a multiple of 16 plus 8. So if this is too complicated for you, don't worry about the math, but you can always do trial and error in this. So in this case, my position of the doorway is 72, and the size I'm setting it to 16. So 72 plus 16 is 88. Which is 16 times 5 plus 8. So this is perfect. This should line up with the platform block pretty nicely. And I'm actually going to push it down a little bit. So I'm going to save this and copy this to the other project. There we go. Save this as well. And now go back to our resource pack creator. So when you upload the new model, try changing the name of it just temporarily. So I'm gonna copy this here and name it Star Ferry Floor 2. Manage models, add model, and do this and close. I'm going to change the model from here. So change that to Star Ferry Floor 2. Edit this and then add the new part, doorway. Type floor, type doorway, and then positions. I'm gonna do a flipped one as well. So it's gonna render on both sides. Click on close, and then take a look. It shouldn't show up right now, but if we go into the preview tab and click on open doors, there we go. The doorway shows up. And we can even get on the boat through the doorway. So like pretend that we're riding the boat. We can get on through here and get off as well. And the other parts you can't get off the ferry. You must get off through the doorway like this. And it's perfectly aligned to the platform and the Y level is correct as well. Alright, so the final part of this is the upper deck now. Edit the model parts and edit these. And then add one more entry for 0, let's try 94. I really don't want to redo the floor for the whole upper deck, so I'm just gonna leave it like this. The doorway, I will also need to copy that as well. So looking at this looks pretty good. The middle is still inaccessible, so I might have to fix that using a new floor part. And then the doorway needs to be fixed as well. What I'm gonna do is just fill in the middle area. This is gonna be pretty simple. Okay, I just made half of it because I can flip it over to the other side as well. I'm just gonna call this middle and paste it in my actual model, save, copy this here, manage models, add model, and 102, close, and close. Okay, so it looks like this middle bit got added because, yeah, the bottom floor doesn't have this piece, but the top floor does. Kind of hard to see, but it's there. Okay, so we're ready to finalize the model, basically. So this is the floor model, and these are the parts. So I took a screenshot of that, and I do want to start fresh and create a new model altogether. So I'm gonna go here, reset everything, and create a new resource pack and start from scratch. I just put in the same things that I had before, go into manage models and add my models. The reason why I'm creating all this stuff from scratch is I just want to show you how I would do it from start to finish with just the files that I have, the Blockbench file and the OBJ file. So ideally, you would want to create all this Blockbench stuff, including making the floor with the model, like what I'm doing here. Ideally, you want to make all of this before you import it to the resource pack creator to avoid rework. So this is what this process will look like if you had the files prepared beforehand. But I wanted to test it live in real time, each step of the way. So that's why I am packaging it all together at the end like this. Okay, edit vehicle properties. Oh, I already did that. Add model, edit model properties. We will do the main OBJ first. And then this texture doesn't matter again, but you have to have it. If you don't, then it might not work. So let's add the default materials in again. And remember, the textures is not going to work the first time. You're going to have to edit it in the resource pack later manually. So that's just a bug in the resource pack creator. Okay, so I'm going to edit this all to -72. Okay, that looks better. -72 looks better. Now we will add the floor part. Texture, anything will work, but remember, we need to have it. Okay, lower deck floor 1, position, so we did 72 and 102. That's for the lower deck floor 1, and lower deck floor 2 is also a floor like this. And then doorway, type doorway. This is 64 and 112. And then finally, the middle floor. Let's take a look in game. Okay, so it looks like the model is pretty good. I am running out of memory in my game here, so it's gonna have a lot of lag spikes, but you can see that the floor is lined up with the platform blocks and also lined up with the model. And I think we will be ready to export. Okay, so go over here. We will actually type a real name this time. Star Ferry. Description, something like that. Export. And now it's under my resource packs. Remember the different gotchas we have earlier? Which is that these need to be all in a folder. So let me create folder again. And models need to be in its own folder. Alright, and then custom resources, we need to update this to point to the folder. So first our OBJ and then our Blockbench model like this. So save and close and update. That should be good to go. So I'm gonna go into my resource packs menu. I don't need this test anymore technically. Try out my new resource pack and see how that looks. Alright, the textures did load in. And this is our floor. For the upper deck, it's a little bit lower than the platform, and for the lower deck, it's higher than the platform. So let me create a ferry route real quick, just so that we can test the door opening as well. Alright, take a look at this. Oh, the boat's jammed. Okay, that's not good. Refresh the path again. The boat is here now. Okay, so we can get on the upper deck, get on and off the upper deck properly. That's good. And then the lower deck will get on and get off. Perfect! I'm really happy about this. This looks really good. And then we cannot walk into the middle. That's good. And then the top, we can walk through the middle because we put these extra floors here. And the floors do map to the wood pretty well, so I'm happy about that as well. Alright, so this is the process to add OBJ models into the game through the resource pack maker. I hope you've learned a lot in this video and you can make your own packs as well. So I'm gonna put a bunch of gotchas that we talked about on the screen so that you remember them and don't make the same mistakes that I did at first. So apologies for the bugs. I don't know when I'll get to them honestly, but for now just remember these gotchas. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you make something awesome and share with me what you make in the comments as well. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out the next Let's Play video where I will put this Star Ferry into the game. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye!